afternoon, everybody. Welcome in to the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football here on Michigan Rivals. What a Friday as we bring in former Wolverine Jerry Diorio. We got lots to talk about today. We're going to jump right into it. Jerry, good to see you.
Great to be a Michigan Wolverine, Denny. It is great to be a Michigan Wolverine. What a beautiful November it's been.
Well, Jerry, I had someone tell me this week that they went back and watched last Friday's show multiple times. And he said, boy, old Jerry nailed it. Everything that he was saying, so that's why he kept having to go back. He said, oh, Jerry said this, Jerry said that, Jerry said this, and it all came true. Of course, culminating with the Michigan upset victory over Ohio State. Nice job on that, Jerry.
Well, thank you, Denny. You know doggone well I'm going to pick Michigan all the time. I'm a homer. I admit it. I got no problem admitting I'm a homer. But I want to say one thing. The things that we pointed out on the video or on the podcast last week were from the heart. I knew we were going to win the running game because we outmanned them on the defensive line versus their offensive line. I felt Nebraska ran all over Ohio, and I thought we were a better running team than Nebraska. I thought our kicking game was not going to give up any big plays like Northwestern, like Indiana. I think Penn State gave up a big kicking game play too, but I knew we weren't going to give up those big plays, and I thought we could win the kicking game, which we did. And I felt all year long we didn't really have to blitz. We needed to protect our young secondary. And to Wink Martindale's credit, for the last 6-7 games, he really dialed down the blitzes, let his guys get home with 4, cover the pass with 7, and that's what he exactly did against Ohio Saturday, and it worked to perfection.
It sure did. And Michigan getting the victory. We're not done.
Well, one last thing I wanted to say over that, Denny. The last thing, if this game was close, I knew Ryan Day, our third base, was going to have a problem.
Yeah, the crowd ended up working against him, and I see why you would say that. I felt that myself. We're not done talking about the game from last Saturday. We have an opening on the coaching staff and offensive coordinator. We'll see what kind of names when we throw them out there that Jerry likes, and we will go to the entertaining and educational and flat out glorious Michigan Ohio State film review. We're looking forward to that. But right now we got, you got recruiting news, you got portal news, and on the portal news, 2 guys from Michigan heading into the portal today. One a surprise, one not a surprise. Cole Cabana from Dexter, he went in the portal, and then punter Tommy Doman going in the portal. Any thoughts on those 2 guys?
Yeah, well, Tommy is a complete surprise. I was totally shocked. Is he not able to play at Michigan next year? I don't know. But that was a total shock. He's had a great career at Michigan. He had some ups and downs this year. Couple bad punts come to mind. Texas, and I believe Oregon was not a real good one. And and then we had some holding issues against Washington, I think it was. But that was a total shocker. Tommy's had a very good career here at Michigan. He's put us in great positions many a time. Couple games come to mind. Last year against Maryland. Last year against Ohio, I think he had a nice punt inside the 20. And this Saturday had another great game, 47-yard average, 1 punt inside the 20. Just had a phenomenal game. So that one really blows my mind. Cole Cabana, on the other hand, he's been plagued with injuries, like you mentioned to me earlier, Denny. He's been plagued with injuries. I really would have liked to have seen him get a shot on the field. I wanted to see what he could do because he does have some outstanding speed, and he can run the ball. I saw him in high school. We played against him in a playoff game. So I know this young man has got some serious talent. It just seemed like he couldn't get on the field, whether it be injuries or just because of the depth of the backfield room. He just couldn't get on the field.
Yeah, tough spot when you're a running back at Michigan trying to get on there. The one thing that is different than in years past, and it doesn't apply to Doman, but most of the guys, if you don't see somebody you get it in their first year as a freshman year, but you don't see somebody or at least see them being named or talked about, and they've been in the program for 2 years. I mean, they're a gigantic candidate to end up in the transfer portal. And now you've got 105 scholarships. And how they shape that roster. A lot of guys are going to be going in there, a lot of movement, guys coming in, guys coming out. I just hope with Doman that he ends up going somewhere where he's not going to play Michigan. Other than that, it's a loss. I mean, he was.
I think Arizona or Arizona State would be a great temperature for him.
Yeah, well, let's see where he wants to go. That's the thing. Okay. Other than that, we had the early signing period on Wednesday, and Michigan really came up. And a couple weeks ago, we all know the Underwood, but doing the double flip with Nate Marshall, getting a 5-star, and the linebacker NOB. I mean, they were Babalola, who's an outstanding prospect. They had a great haul and made a statement on Wednesday how they were able to do in recruiting. It was a good day for Michigan. What are your thoughts there?
Oh, outstanding day. Like I said, it's been an outstanding November, highlighted with Bryce Underwood making the switch from LSU to come to Michigan. And I think it really highlighted the network of alumni that we have in the pockets that we're going to be throwing around. I mean, we're in a position that, frankly, most of the SEC teams were in just a few years ago that nobody else was competing in. They were doing their own little NIL, in my opinion. Now the game's even where everybody gets to do the same thing, and I think you're going to find out that Michigan's going to have a lot more great recruiting days in the future.
I'm seeing with our chat people throwing around names left and right. OC from Clemson, Tulane OC. Here's saying Greasy's name. He's hearing it. So, Jerry, the offensive coordinator, I was thinking that this would be the first order of business for Sharon Moore. He knew that he was going to make a move probably a month ago, I would think, with Kirk Campbell. And he had to have a pretty short list of guys. And I would think that he would also have already reached out to him. He may already have his decision made. I say that it's the first order of business. It's not like you're going to get a quarter. If you're a really good quarterback and you want to be in the transfer portal, you got a lot of questions, but one of the top questions is who's going to be the offensive coordinator? Who's going to be the quarterback coach? And if Sharon Moore is like, hey, don't worry about it. I don't know. That seems like it would be, it would be a big part of it.
If this was pre-orchestrated, I'm all for Greasy. I mean, are you kidding me? Talk about a quarterback pedigree. Dad, Super Bowl champ, 17 wins, only undefeated team. Now, I know he was hurt most of the season that year, but Greasy, his dad, phenomenal Hall of Fame quarterback at Purdue with the Miami Dolphins. Brian Greasy comes to Michigan and had to fight tremendous competition. If we remember back then, he was not one of your top-rated quarterbacks when he ended up winning the national championship. So he is a great choice. If this was predetermined or orchestrated a month ago, it's a brilliant move. And I'm hoping that Sharon Moore has got that kind of brilliance in him to go after Greasy. Now, will Greasy come? And I guess enough money would do that. Maybe a position as assistant head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach would be something that make him move a little bit. Plus the fact he's coming back to his alma mater. Brian Greasy is a no-brainer, in my opinion. He is The guy led the 49ers, their offense, to a Super Bowl placement last year, an NFC championship win against the Lions last year. By the way, how about the Lions? I mean, this guy is perfect for this situation. There would be a great move. That's my one, and that would be it. I would go after him full go and go get him. Now, if we can't get him, I kind of like the idea of Dan Mullen's name being floated out there a little bit. He's got a connection with an old buddy of mine, old coach of mine, Mike Gittleson, out from the East Coast, and so I like that. I like that pick a lot. I think what Michigan needs on the offensive coaching side is somebody with great leadership ability, some great experience, and possibly even some head coaching background.
Yeah, I think what's natural for football fans when they see an opening is to go opposite of what they had. Like if you had a short, fat guy who was a taskmaster, you're going to be looking for a tall, skinny guy who's more of a player's coach. That's how things usually work. And with Kirk Campbell, he was pretty young and light on experience. So to me, it'd be natural for a lot of Michigan fans and even myself to say, get a guy who's done it before, is experienced, knows his way around, has called plays before, and might be a little bit older because Sharon's in his 30s. So thinking about they went with the young, hot, let's see if they could do something with Campbell. And, there's a lot of different ways to go. And you just look, you mentioned the Lions. Ben Johnson, his name, you look at, he went from Boston College. He went to Miami as a wide receivers coach and a tight ends coach, and the Lions pretty much hired him that way. And he didn't have any play calling experience, and they put him in there, and he's the best offensive coordinator in football right now. And that's why when I look through what the people are saying, there's a lot of people when they see Greasy's name, they're just like, oh, he's only being mentioned because he's a Michigan man and he's never called plays before. Well, he's a quarterback coach, and he's done a nice job with Brock Purdy.
I mean, you can't say enough about that, Denny. You're talking about Mr. Irrelevant going to the Super Bowl. I think that speaks volumes.
Well, he's got obviously pro experience as a player, a broadcaster, and a coach. And if you're looking, you say, go attack the tree of the real successful coaches. Well, Mike Shanahan is about as good as it gets when it comes down to, that's what they do in the pros. And you can see that in college too. Go after Sean McVay, go get his offensive coordinator, go get his quarterback coach. That's what, that's what the Bengals did. That's what a number of teams have done, and doing the same thing with Shanahan. So I think people, they might not like Greasy because when,
I don't know why you don't like Greasy.
No, I think there's people because he's not a play caller. I think people I think it's good that he's a Michigan man. I don't use that against Michigan. People don't like that. They're always like, we don't need Michigan man. Well, it worked really well.
The last guy did pretty well. The last Michigan guy did pretty well.
I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying that Greasy's a bad hire. I'm telling you what people think because they don't have that play calling experience. And I also think that Greasy knocked Harbaugh in 2020 and was ready for a new coach, and he said it publicly. Now, a lot of people did that, but there's a lot of people that aren't former Michigan players that have the cachet that Greasy did, and a lot of people held that against him. I didn't myself, but I think those are some of the things.
And also, Harbaugh talked bad about Michigan and said you can get any degree and go to Michigan.
That's a good point, Jerry.
So there's all kinds of talk back and forth. Let's forget all the BS. Who's the best candidate? Right. And in my opinion, there's nobody. I mean, what do you think Bryce Underwood is thinking about Brian Greasy?
Yeah, I don't know. That would be, of course, a question that you would want to put to him. Like, Wayne, this is the thing. When you say to hell with a quarterback coach, would you say to hell to Ben Johnson? There's a lot of different coaches. Would you have said when you were the Ravens back in the day, if you were a Ravens fan, why are we hiring John Harbaugh? The guy's a special teams coach. This is just a terrible move. Mike Tomlin's had 1 year with Minnesota as a defensive coordinator. You're going to bring him in as a head coach of the Pittsburgh freaking Steelers? I mean, there's a lot of those. To me, actually, the idea is find somebody even before they're that guy, and then you can have them. Now, that's more difficult. And Michigan, like I said, they're coming off they took a shot with kind of a no-name in Kirk Campbell. So I think that scares a lot of people. And look, I think when you go through it, there's the UNLV coach who is out there, Brennan Marion. People are like, nah, he runs a gimmick offense. Well, there's Joe Craddock, who's with Tulane, and there's a lot to like about him. You already mentioned Mullen, Joe Candle at Toledo. Now, he's a head coach. I don't think that Candle is going to want to go from being a head coach at Toledo to come into Michigan, but who knows? I think whether you're sitting down with Mullen or Craddock, to me, we can all say these are the guys we like and everything until you start talking with someone and you get that. I would say I would have a list of 5 guys right now, and I'd say, hey, Candle's my best. And if I was talking with him, Jerry, and we had a conversation and it's just flowing, he's like, man, sometimes when you have those interviews, we don't have the luxury of having those interviews. So out of all of the names that I've heard, I think all of them are fine. What are they going to, is he going to click with Sharon Moore? Are they going to be on the same page? Are they going to have that chemistry? How's that interview going to go? That's a big thing. So I don't, Wayne saying to hell with any of the coaches, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's great that you have your pecking order. You want an experienced guy. You want somebody who's done it before. Got to have play calling experience. I open it up. I want to look and say, I want to find the best guy for the job. He doesn't necessarily have to have been a play caller. He doesn't have to have a quarterback that he's worked with that went on to be a first-round pick. It doesn't matter to me if he was fired before. I mean, these are things that people are using against and to come up with their own perfect candidate, which is fine. I mean, we're all kind of doing that ourselves. So my opinion is cast a wide net, talk to these guys, and see which one of the guys click with you.
Okay, and here's my point, Denny, and this is why I'm going to take go after Brian Griese with all effort. He's the right fit. He's the right fit because his offensive system that he's worked under is very much like our offensive system. Inside, outside zone, power scheme, gap, play action passes, using the tight end. And this is the kind of game plan that has to be utilized in November. This is why we're beating Ohio. They don't get that. They keep going after the glitz and glamour of the wide receiver, the big offensive tackles that you can't get around but can't move. So I want the guy who is going to fit well with our environment, for lack of a better word. He is you're right, in the Shanahan wheelhouse, in his tree, on his branches. So he knows what that ground and pound type offense is with the play action passes and how that benefits his defense as well. So I'm all in for Brian Griese. After that, I'd like to hear some other people, but I wouldn't mind taking a look at Dan Mullins too.
Here's some more names. T. Martin, the Tulane, we already mentioned him. Craddock, and Dre's got a bunch of names. Crabthorpe from the Bengals, Davis Webb from the Broncos, the pass game coordinator for the Chiefs, Blymeyer, Josh McCown. Ooh, I like Josh McCown. That out of those, I mean, I've always liked Josh McCown. I always thought he was a fast track. Josh McCown. I like that. Of course, Dre's got Griese's name on there as well. So all of these, let's see. I know the one part about people talking about, well, this guy throws too much, or the OC that comes in here, I promise you, they're not going to throw too much, Jerry. It's going to be the dream. We watched the Lions last night. The Lions offense is what you want. You want a power running game. You want thunder and lightning, what they have. You want to have a passing game when needed that you can dial up. And boy, they do it, and they're doing it better than anybody else. That's the kind of offense I want. An attacking offense that can pound you and punch you in the face, and they can also utilize the entire field with awesome wide receivers and a great quarterback. That's what I want to see the next OC, and in terms of the philosophy he's going to use.
And one of the questions that Sharon Moore is asking himself, who can beat Ohio? And I think that's going to be in his wheelhouse. That's going to be one of his major factors.
All right. Mouse Davis. I wasn't expecting to see Mouse Davis's name.
Alive?
I don't know. Mouse Davis ran the run and shoot for the Lions.
That was the best offense Barry ever had, by the way. I will say that. That was perfect for him.
Well, I'll say that I saw Wayne Fonts getting interviewed yesterday, and I hadn't seen him in 20 or 30 years. So, yeah, everybody's Mouse Davis. I don't know what's going on there. So there it is. Mustafa is saying that Sharon wants to spread it out more now with Underwood. Yeah, I think he wants to. He keeps, he's talked to balance. Coaches say balance, and if you have a great quarterback and you've got some big, you want to take advantage of what you have. And I think Sharon Moore wants to win. That's going to be number one.
That's all he's worried about.
If he thought that running a Mouse Davis spread was the way to go, I think he would go that way. But he doesn't think that. He knows that a physical offensive line. One thing that I've done, and I always do, is I look at the teams that make the NFL playoffs. And there's 14 of them now. It used to be 6, but they've expanded it. I will bet you that the top 14 teams that are running the ball right now, 10, 11, 12 of them, they're all in the top 11. The 14 teams right now that you would say would be in the playoffs, 10, 11, 12 of them are going to be, 1 through 12 running the ball in the NFL. It's always been like that. So, yeah, passing the ball too, you want to be able to do that and look at it, but you're going to have the teams that run it the best. It almost always, there's more of them in the playoffs than there are the teams that are leading the league in passing. So, I don't know. It's something you can always look at. Check it out.
Sharon Moore is an offensive line coach who's won awards running the ball. He knows how to run the ball, and he's going to try to utilize Underwood in the running game as much as possible, and that's what I see with it. He's going to expand the running game.
Joe Craddock's name, if I had to put who I thought was the top 3 right now, Craddock would be in that. And I think Tulane is playing tonight against Army in their bowl game. You might want to check that out, if you're a Michigan fan, saying, hey, maybe this guy could be our future OC. But I would put him in the top 3. I think Mullen, you mentioned Mullen. I think he's in the top 3 as well. Who that third one is, I don't know. Like I said, Candle, he sounds good, but I don't see him leaving Toledo to be an offensive coordinator. So a lot of people, there's a lot of fans of the Maize and Blue Review who love the UNLV offensive coordinator, Marion. And, yeah, I don't know enough about UNLV, and they're all go offense, throwing it around. They're calling it gimmicky. But Craddock, I think, checks all the boxes that you're looking for. So,
well, that's what I'm talking about. Danny, we brought in Rich Rodriguez, and specifically to open up our offense, and it didn't fit. It didn't fit, and that's why I'm saying Brian Griese, in my opinion, is the best fit. His background, his knowledge of the game, his experience and knowledge of the run game, that's who I like.
Yeah, you don't want to scrap the whole thing, whoever the offensive coordinator is, and have them run their offense if you're going to have to change up a lot of things. So remember, a Ben Johnson type sounds great, but Michigan fans, if they got a Ben Johnson type, you wouldn't like him because he would never have called plays before. He would not have been a coordinator, and he would have a so-so resume where you'd look at it and say, is this really the guy we're going to hand the keys to? Because Johnson was not an offensive coordinator, and he didn't call plays. And it's not like, he worked for the Lions and he worked for the Dolphins. It's not like he was sitting there and he was like Sean McVay or Mike Shanahan's not Mike Shanahan, San Francisco's Shanahan's. It's not like he was the right-hand man out there. So, but I get you. Yeah. You'd love to have somebody like Ben Johnson. That's for sure. That calls plays like Ben Johnson. The people just aren't going to like the resume if it is somebody like that.
That's funny, Denny. That's a good one. I like it.
All right, so there we are, all through the offensive coordinators, and people are just joining us, throwing up. I believe we've went through everything. A-Train wants to, I guess, debate Rich Rod a little bit. He says his offense did fit. He just needed time to transition from pro style to spread. It was getting better as the years went on. Yeah, I would completely disagree. No, I don't know about completely disagree. A-Train, he was swapping out everyone and bringing in everything different, like you're talking about, time to transition, but he never did get the quarterback. Like if he would have been able to get Terrell Pryor right out of the gate, it might have been different from Rich Rod, but Rich Rod wasn't a good fit. You got to come into Ann Arbor, and Rich Rod, he didn't take anybody's advice on how to handle the head coaching position at Michigan.
Bingo.
Jerry went to one of those golfing outings when he was not even a month on the job or whatever else. And one of the questions was, hey, what do you think about the Ohio State rivalry? Now, he knew that question was coming to him. And you only have to say, boy, that's going to be can't wait. It's the best rivalry in all of football. And, you could think about it for 5 minutes and come up with a pretty good answer. What you didn't want to say is what Rich Rod said. I know all about rivalries. We've got the backyard brawl out, and he started going on and it's like, I know all about, and he kind of downplayed it. Right when I heard that, I'm standing there, I'm thinking, oh. And you know what? Rich Rodriguez would have done well to open up the defensive meeting door once in a while and see what was going on there. Same thing with special teams. Real bad fit at Michigan. When it comes
Rich Rod, I enjoyed his company. I worked the camps with them, his camps at Michigan. Broke bread with them. He just did not understand Michigan and the Big Ten tradition. And he came in with his ideas and his thoughts and what he was going to do, and he was going to do it right away. And nobody was going to talk him out of it, in my opinion. And that's where Rich Rod didn't do such a good job for Michigan. He came in with preconceived notions on how he was going to change the Big Ten in Michigan, and it didn't work real well.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you on that. If I just had to go through from the people the couple hundred that have left feedback so far, this is the name that the fans like. Craddock from Tulane. On the Maize and Blue review, what I've noticed on the Den, Marion from UNLV. Those are the two names that I see the most where the fans like him. And Jerry's greasy is what he's saying right now. So there we go. The one part that where I think that it could be somebody like Greasy is when I was listening to Sharon Moore on Wednesday. I was expecting him to say, we've gone through this, where, however, even if he doesn't say anything, I thought that he would already have hired a guy by now, because thinking about the transfer portal and the quarterback, you're going to want to have that offensive coordinator. Now, you can do all that behind the scenes, but when he was talking about taking a long view and Kasula was going to be calling plays in the bowl and everything else, it made it seem like this is going to be a long process. And of course, the 49ers are going to be playing, into January. So that long process could be after San Francisco's season is over. So,
I'm seeing some comments on here about Rich Rod and his defense was no good. And that's what I'm talking about. You've got to understand the full game when you come into the Big Ten and into Michigan football. It's not just about you're coming in as a head coach. It's not about just one side of the ball. It's about all phases of the game and how it pertains and eventually culminates in beating Ohio. And that's what you're looking at when you come in as a Michigan head coach. That's what you're thinking. I've got to be great on all phases of the game. My team has got to be sound every which way. And when it comes down in November, late, we got to beat Ohio.
And let's say it is Joe Craddock who is coaching tonight for Tulane, Jerry. Like, if Sharon Moore, if this is his top guy, they will have at least had some kind of conversation. What do you think of Miller Moss? Because Michigan, it's clear that they have interest in Miller Moss. He could be visiting this weekend. What do you think of him? Because Moss is going to want to know who the offensive coordinator is, and you might give him a couple of ideas if it's not going to be the specific. Going to have a little give and take when you're going out there. I'm thinking he's going to have a pretty good idea right now of who the guy is. So that's it. Jerry, anything else? If you want to get some feedback, you can. After we show the film, we'll circle back to it and get to it. Anything else that we need to hit on here, Jerry?
Well, no, I just, we talked a lot about the offensive coordinator, and that is a huge, huge piece to next year's success. No question about it. But I'm just looking at these recruits this year, and, I think I mentioned it earlier. This is going to be an every year kind of deal because we have the dollars to back it up. I mean, we've got the alumni network, and we're going to be in the hunt for the best players every year. And then I'm looking at this list: Underwood, Babaloa out of Over Park, Illinois, big offensive lineman. Is he a mammoth guy? 6'6", 3 bills.
He's out of Kansas.
Tackle. Huh?
I thought he's out of Kansas.
So was he out of Kansas? Okay, I think you're right, Denny.
Yeah, you're looking right.
Nationally ranked 14th, third in his position. That's a huge pickup. So right there, we got two of the top 15 players in the country in the recruiting class. Right there. Everybody was concerned with Nate Marshall. Remember when we lost him earlier in the season to Auburn?
Yeah,
and I think we mentioned it on this set, Denny, that the recruiting process is long. Who knows what's going to happen? We could end up getting him at the end of the recruiting process. He could come back, or we might get him in a few years at the transfer portal. So here he is coming back. One of the best edge players in the country right now being recruited. 55th ranked, 8th in his position. So we're happy to get Nate Marshall back on board.
Yeah, Jerry, he's a good one to just show how Michigan has changed their game. Of course, everybody talks about Bryce Underwood for good reason, but when Marshall was here and he committed to Michigan, Auburn, I think, gave him $15,000 to come visit, and then we're talking about giving him $500,000 to go there, and he's like, so am I going to take this, the couple rubber bands you're going to stash in my pocket just to come visit, and then you're talking about giving me $500,000? Michigan wasn't talking about giving anybody $500,000, but here we are this week. Michigan's like, okay, here, we're ready. We're ready. You ready to come on back? And we'll cover that $15,000 they took for your visit. Plus, here's a $500,000. So, and they were able to get him back. So yeah, Michigan can drop bags now, which is a complete departure of anything that we've ever talked about.
Absolutely. Totally game changer, Denny. Game changer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It is
Avery Gack. What a pickup he was. Ranked 15th in his position. We got Elijah Dotson out of Belleville, 13th ranked in his position. So, I'm just looking at these names that we've got, and it's looking very good. Future's looking bright.
Oh, there'd been so many signing days where guys like the kid, I think Young, the safety from. He was going to Clemson. He was on, TV down there in South Carolina, and he was like, "I want to go somewhere where I think I can win." Of course, taking guys from Clemson, that's something that never happened before. I know maybe you could make a case that they did that with Rashawn Gary, but it's
Scott, you got, by the way, Danny, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Scott, you got the wrong Jerry Diorio or Jerry D with the wallet. So forget that one, Scott.
what?
Scott's telling me to open my wallet. It creaks.
I said we're going to answer the questions afterward, but while Jerry puts the film up, I'll look at a couple of these. Ferris is asking, who should Michigan get in the transfer portal at quarterback? Will Bryce Underwood be the day one starter? We need someone. Well, I think Miller Moss is their number one target right now. Underwood. Jerry, I think you answered this question and you said no. I'm going to answer this question as I'm just going to go all in and say yes. I know they have to play Oklahoma, but I feel like Underwood, until I see, Moss or whoever else in there and I see a spring game where, Underwood is not somebody that, you're thinking about, or I'm going to say it's going to be Underwood.
You're going with Underwood the first game, Denny?
Yep. Game 1 next year, I'm going with Bryce Underwood as the starter.
I'm not I'm worried about that one, Denny. I'm worried about that one.
I know you are. Olish is supposed to make a decision today. Michigan.
Yeah, I was hoping to hear that one come on too.
His dad went to Penn State. He's still interested there. Oregon. Everybody's lining up. I don't know. He might be playing off of all three to try to see how much money he can get in a mystery 4 team there. It almost feels
Wouldn't
you?
Wouldn't you?
I don't know, Jerry. At some point, I want to, figure out the number that I want. But yeah, you could go this route. Maybe that's what he's doing. You hear those 3 teams plus a mystery 4th team, and maybe that's what it's going to be. He's going to sit around and say, hey, it's 500,000 right now. Who is there anybody saying 6? I'm going to make a decision by 5. I don't know. So I don't think he's going to Michigan. That's my guess.
Well, we do have some tight ends in the cupboard, so
that's true. I just gave you the word on Olish. And so I want to tell everybody this while Jerry is looking at that film and getting ready to put it up there, that you don't have to drop that big of a bag to get in and know what's going on before anybody else with Michigan football recruiting, with Michigan football and the transfer portal, with Michigan football when it comes to the offensive coordinator and who it's going to be, what the philosophy is going to be, how it all plays out, all of that going on, basketball as well. You join up with the Maize and Blue Review today, you get instant access. Go to michigan.rivals.com. And you want to be like Jerry? You want to be like Mr. Diorio with the Telestrator? I want to tell you this, that you need to get Quick Cut Video and Analytics, your place to store, share, and analyze film. And so, yeah, you could be like Jerry and do that and get it going. So that's it. And Jerry, with that, we've got the film, and let's do it.
All right, Denny. All right. So here we go. This is a short gain. That was a Donovan Edwards short 3-yard gain, but it meant so much more. It was a body blow that just kept hitting Ohio in the ribs all day long, and it kind of finally picked up. Here's a great catch by Henson, and a nice throw by Warren. Gets us a much-needed first down. Key number 1, we said, to winning the game, win the rushing battle. 23 in a row now and counting. The team that runs the ball best in this game wins, period. End of story. Here is Bredesen just owning Styles. I mean, watch him bounce back here, Denny. Watch Styles bounce back. Now, I wish Donovan would have had his eyes open a little bit more, because this could have broke. Look at that outside lane out there. If he bounces it out a little bit, look at that outside lane. Now, in my opinion, this is bad defense. He's upfield way too far when his tackle's blocking down, and he's giving this gap up. Donovan missed this one. I love you, Donovan, but you missed this one. But again, body blows all day long, and that's what we did to Michigan, to Ohio. And Bredesen was dominant. He owned this kid Skiles all day long. Boom. This kind of stuff was there too all day long too. We had this quarterback read. There's he actually takes two. Bredesen brings down the safety, the transfer from Alabama last year to fill that gap, and we still busted with Orji. Great move, great play. Boom, bounces it outside, and those were the kinds of things that really hurt Ohio and kept them off balance all game long. Let's remember one thing, Denny. We won the time of possession, especially, and I couldn't believe this when I went back and looked at it again. I couldn't believe how much we won the time of possession in the second half.
Oh,
I thought we won it in the first half. It was the second half where we really dominated the time of possession and kept Ohio State off the field. But here you go. Here is a pin and pull. Does Klein have another year, Denny?
Oh, yeah.
He better not go in the transfer portal because I'm loving this kid more and more. He's reminding me of the kid that wears the jersey one up on him, 18, Loveland. So here's Klein with a pin and pull, and we've been talking about Link all year, good, bad, and indifferent, but this is the reason he's starting. He's a very athletic offensive lineman getting on Styles. Styles must have felt like a stepchild out here all day long. He was getting beat up all day long.
Wow.
He was getting – I think we picked on him. I think that was our offensive game plan. Let's go with Styles. Let's make him play the run because he didn't do much all day long on the run game, and that was a great job. Now, here's your guy. Here's their big 4-year starter, their leader, their captain, complaining. Let me explain something to you, Mr. Sawyer. It's going to be hard to get a holding penalty in this game. Sorry, suit up and play the game. But a great run by Mullins and a great and well blocked. Another good run by Mullins. We own the running game. Both sides of the ball, we own the running game. The second key we talked about was rushing 4 and dropping 7. Remember, Denny, these 7 are all pretty much new pass coverage guys, all right? These 4 are pretty much all new here, okay? So we got to protect these guys. And we know that we can pretty much get home with these 4. These 4 have gotten home all year long. And to Wink Martindale's credit, you could see him stop blitzing about Washington, I would say. About the Washington game, you saw him lighten his blitz load every little bit, every game. And I think we ran 5 one time, and it busted us for about 30 yards. But we played 4 rushing, 7 in zone, nothing beat us deep, keep everything in front, and put pressure on the quarterback. Whether we get to him or not, put pressure on the quarterback. There, that's his window. You don't think he's feeling something right here? He's in the end zone with 4 guys coming at him, and they're collapsing the pocket. They are definitely collapsing the pocket. He throws a pass that he's thinking he's got to get a first down and get out of this terrible situation, and a great job by Hall. Absolutely fantastic job. Great job by the defense, getting it right back for our offense and putting us right back in position. And by the way, Denny, when in the heck did we discover white shoes? When did we discover white shoes, Denny? I know I was shocked when we came out and showed up on white shoes. But here it pays off pretty good because you could definitely see the green.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move for that. I can remember watching the Ravens in the first game this year against the Chiefs, and their tight end had black shoes on, and if he had had white shoes on, I think they would have called it a touchdown in the back of the end zone. So
here's Bredesen leading the way. for Mullins and burying their big guy, number 33. Not a great block on him, but he moves him into the end zone, leads the way, touchdown. And now, all of a sudden, these guys are thinking about the last 3 years that have happened. These guys over here in the red are thinking about the last 3 years. They're not real confident at this point in time. All right. One of their only positive runs, Denny, they had three real big runs. And I think all three of them were surprises to Michigan's defense. There was something that we didn't see. So I'm going to be all right with that. You understand what I'm saying? That if they're running something that they haven't shown most of the season this year, we're making them do something that they're not familiar with. And they're not going to probably come back to it much. But here it is. It's a little speed option to Judkins, and he gains 15, 16 yards. That was one of their big run games, run plays of the day. Here's the other one. This is I thought he should have been thrown out of the game here. You take a punch at a coach without a helmet on, I think you gotta leave the game. That right there. And you know what? To be honest with you, the ref is in between them. Look at Rod Moore.
Where's the punch?
Right there. You see it?
Right by Rod Moore, number 4.
Watch. You see it?
No.
Okay.
Maybe.
I think it's the punch.
Well, there's no official, so they wouldn't have saw that. And they can't go back on the film and take a look at it.
You didn't see that? Something sparked this guy right here. Something sparked him. I thought it was a punch. I saw it in the game. I thought this was a punch.
Oh, that's Jeremiah Smith, huh?
Yeah.
You know, the hard part is there from a push and a punch and a push. It's hard to tell.
Isn't either one against an opposing coach kind of ejectionable?
Well, if it's a punch, yes, you can throw somebody out.
Okay, well, all right. Anyways, I thought it was a punch, and I thought he should have been thrown out if it was a push. Anyways, here is their run game with their quarterback. Remember, they spent all that money to get a running quarterback. By the way, how about Cade McNow?
McNamara?
McNamara. No, not Cade McNamara. The guy at Syracuse. Kyle McCord.
Oh, yeah.
How about that one? 380 yards passing against the number 6 team in the nation. Beat them behind 21 points on the same day. Michigan keeps Ohio under 200 yards passing with 2 interceptions. In my opinion, I thought he was out. I thought he was out of the game. Now, I don't know about you, Denny. Are you hearing some stories about this?
About the quarterback getting hit here?
Yep.
About how he didn't look like he wasn't looking great before this, but then he wasn't looking any good after this. How he could have had.
I'm hearing some. I saw something come over my text yesterday. Somebody sent me. Maybe it was wrong, but somebody said that they pulled his helmet twice to keep him out of the game, and they put him back in. I don't know. I'm not trying to make any allegations here, or make any. But that's what I heard. I was wondering if you had heard anything like that as well.
Well, just watching the game, I think they did right off the bat. I don't know what the protocol is, and I think they're independent doctors that have to clear them. I know it's that way in the NFL.
Oh,
I'm not sure what they do in college, but if you have an independent, I don't know if it's a neurologist or whatever, on the sideline, on each sideline, it's out of Ohio State's hands there. So I think that's how it works.
Okay. So here it is. This is another one of their big plays. Now, of course, we're not prepared for this. So I'm all right with it. All right. We got outflanked. They pulled a little tricky play. I'm okay. We stopped them. We made them continue to drive. But But that's what I was talking about, Denny. Their big run plays were things we didn't see all year. And that means they're doing things that they don't normally do, and it's not good. There's a quarterback running, scrambling.
Not
Bad
much.
snap right there, Denny. That was their problem. The offensive line. Urban Meyer. I'm surprised Urban Meyer was as surprised of this game as anybody, because he was the one who called out the weakness of the Ohio State offensive line back in April during the spring game. He was calling this offensive line out. So,
yeah. Well, you know, the backup center here, so they're
and by the way, that backup center was last year's center. The kid from Alabama's hurt. This is the backup center, but I believe he was the center from last year's team. So he was moved to guard. They brought the kid in from Alabama. He got hurt. He moved him back to center. The third key to winning this game, win the kicking game. Score points and deny them of their big plays. Remember, the big plays that cost Northwestern, Indiana, fumbled snaps, big returns. We won the kicking game, and this was huge. This was a big, big play in this game. All of a sudden now Ohio is starting to think.
Oh, they're Michigan's in their heads now. Michigan
we're
is
in there. We got a game. We're in a game.
Yeah. Yeah, once they missed the kick. I mean, all the way through, the interception, the missed kick, and it just kept happening. And then they just kept running the ball right into the teeth of the Michigan defense, and then the crowd started booing. I mean, it kept building.
You know, Dan, I got something to say about that, though. Everybody keeps talking about Ohio running up the gut. I'm going to make 2 points here that says, no, they didn't really run up the gut all the time. Number one, they had 9 plays. Urban Meyer pointed this out with Jerry Diorio on the Big Ten Network. They had 9 plays of 0 or negative yards. Most of those negative yard plays were stretch zone plays outside that Michigan gobbled up. Okay? The inside plays were veer powers, which were designed to show outside run with the quarterback keeping up front, but our interior ate it up. Okay? But that's 1 point. 9 out of their run plays were either 0 or negative yards. Number one. Number two, the second point is Ohio threw the ball more than they ran the ball. So for me to hear people say that they were disappointed in Day running the ball up front, I don't think you're giving Michigan enough credit. Michigan won this game. It wasn't Ohio State lost this game. Michigan won this game.
I believe you. I'm not going to go back and look at the numbers. I'm going to trust that you're right about that, and you know about what's inside and what was looking like outside. There were a few flash points in this game where they did just run it up the middle, and the crowd started booing. And then where I was sitting as well, I was thinking, man, if I was on the other side, I would be incensed. And so maybe that's what it is. Sometimes it's just a play or 2 or 5 that makes you think that that's what they're doing. But so that's the way I was thinking about it. But
Denny, and that's all, and that's all well and good. And I understand that. I totally get that. But when the one play I think you're really that you're really pointing to was a 3rd and 10 in Ohio's territory. And that was a smokescreen play. They were trying to sneak what's his name through the line of scrimmage, that quarterback Veer Power. They were trying to sneak him through because they had double teams. Michigan was sitting in a soft zone looking for a pass. They were trying to sneak one in, maybe get 5, 6, 7 yards. And that play turned out to be one of the biggest plays of the game.
Yeah, Mason Graham was double teamed, but he still ended up making the play. Yeah.
Yep. And not only did that happen, but it stopped them from getting 5 or 6 yards. That 5 or 6 yards might have put that field goal in the uprights. So that's how big a play that was. Here's Zavada, a 54-yard field goal. Now they're getting real tight.
Oh yeah. It was a boa constrictor all game long, Jerry. It was just kept tightening it up, everything. Miss field goal, make field goal.
Okay, here's that Veer Power I'm talking about, Danny. This play is read here. They're reading this 5 technique out here, okay? or 6 technique, or whatever you want to call them. This is a read play. So what they're going to do, and this is what I've been calling for Michigan to do all year, run this play because it's very effective. We run it in high school, and it very, very effective play. But what they're doing is they're bringing him in motion, Judkins in motion. They're bringing him in motion, and they're going to read this 5 technique. If the 5 technique comes down, they're going to give it to him, and they're going to stretch the field. But if the 5 technique plays like he does here and moves out, then you've got to keep. Now the key comes down to these 2 against 1. And this is something, if you're a high school football coach and you want to teach a double team, I'm going to show you what not to teach, okay? This is what not to teach. The outside guy comes off the double team. You see that, Denny? You see the tackle come off the double team? And Mason Graham is sitting right there for the play. What you want to do on this double team is make this penetration so this tackle is inside the guard. But this outside guy, this tackle should never come off this double team unless this guy is the guy that we're doubling is inside the guard or inside the inside player. What I used to tell our outside guy on the double team is you don't come off unless he's violently inside the inside gap. Does that make sense to you, Denny? Yeah. In other words, the only way the guard is completely responsible for this block is if Mason Graham goes inside of him. Does that make sense? Okay. And then the tackle can get up on the linebacker. But this time, Graham just holds his ground. The tackle comes off for a linebacker and leaves Graham with nobody on the outside blocking him for this veer power read. Key number 1, win the rushing game. We averaged 4.6 yards a carry. They were under 3 yards a carry, 2.96 carry. Remember, they had the 2 best backs in the country, supposedly. So, and I'm not speaking anything bad about Judkins or Henderson. I'm just saying our defense played really well, and it's a shame that their coaching staff didn't point that out. That's what I'm saying. This is a great play by Mason Graham. And a really poorly executed double team by the Ohio State offense. Watch Barnum just destroy this tackle too, by the way. Watch Barnum here. Watch him come in here and just destroy this tackle. Boom. Knocks him right back into the play. We were more physical. That's all there is to it. You can't say much more. We were just a more physical team than Ohio was. One of the few times we sent 5. This was the one time I saw us send 5. The result was big play. Big play out in the flat. Same old scenario. We rush 5, and they hit a flat or a crosser or something like that. But to Wink's credit, and I understand that he's got to send 5 at some time. I mean, you got to mix it up a little bit. But to Wink's credit, he really backed off on the blitzes and really did a nice job with our base defense here. That was a big play. Here's another big run. Again, something that I don't think we've seen from Ohio State. This is kind of like that Baltimore Raven reverse trap from the wingback. Watch the wingback here. He's kind of going to reverse trap Benny here. They're going to send the guard down, veer block, and bring Benny's block down. That way now, they're H-back in reverse trap, I call it, on Benny, and you get somebody up on linebacker, and that's one of their 3 biggest run plays right there. You just saw their 3 biggest run plays, and that's why they lost right there, because they're cocky for no reason whatsoever.
Okay. I like it.
All right. Dropping 7 created confusion, small windows, and no big plays downfield. Makari Page played his best game probably of his career. This was outstanding. That was an outstanding play. What a play by Makari Page right there. You know, we get an interception, and then we come back and we throw one. And so our defense makes a big play here on 2nd and 10, forcing a 3rd and 10. And then this is the play. I think this is one of the biggest plays of the game. I think this is one of the biggest plays of the game because for some reason, they missed a 35-yard field goal. Nothing on the ground. They tried to catch us here sleeping. We're in a soft zone, 3rd and 10. We're thinking pass against this great Ohio State pass team. If they gain 5, they probably get the field goal inside the uprights. Let's watch. Mason Graham again, and then watch Kenneth Grant just destroy this offensive guard. Denny, I noticed one thing about Ohio's offensive linemen. They don't move their feet real well. Look at Grant. He's moving his feet. They're not moving their feet. And that goes with a passing team. Watch him. Graham just destroys the guard, comes in, and Grant's right there burying his guy into the plate. That's domination right there. Now, why their coach doesn't say that Michigan played an outstanding game, I'll never know. I'll never know that.
Yeah, that's the kind where people were I understand how Ohio State fans were complaining. Running it on 3rd and 10 is not the.
They were trying to sneak that, Denny. They were trying to sneak that through. They thought they were going to catch us sleeping in soft and coming up field. Our guys played it right, and you can say what you want. He shouldn't be missing a 35-yard field goal at Division I. Huge play. Break and contain. Let's plant the flag again, bro.
All right.
Huge play. Huge play. And Davis Warren has made nice plays these last few games. I've seen him do some things that are encouraging. Let's put it that way. How's that, Denny?
Yeah, this is one of the top 5 plays of the game right there.
That was huge. And let's not forget to give O'Leary credit. This is outstanding concentration and getting down on the ball, getting his hands under it. That is outstanding. Keep his feet in. And remember, this is supposed to be the best defense in the country. Outstanding. Outstanding concentration. Outstanding ball placement. I mean, there was nowhere else to really go with the ball. So, great play there.
I don't know how many throws or catches I've seen like that ever. Good stuff.
So, huge run by Davis here. Everybody talks about he doesn't move. He doesn't move real well. He looked pretty good here. This is a huge play. Huge play right there. Denny, I didn't realize they had the ball for less than 11 minutes in the second half. Beautiful play. And another great play. Great call. This is a great call by Campbell. I'm going to give him credit on this one. Great call. Catches the Buckeyes sleeping, man coverage, and you got to throw the penalty. And by the way, we lost the penalty battle, didn't we, Denny?
I thought it was cool. I'll look at it.
I thought we lost the penalty battle. But anyways, I thought a couple of those were questionable early. All right. So I don't understand this one. If we can't score on 1st and goal on the 3-yard line running the ball with this offense, we don't deserve to win the game, in my opinion. So I don't understand this call. I don't understand trying to catch him sleeping. And to be honest with you, Sawyer got blocked into the play. Let's look at it. Look at it. He's doing nothing. He's getting blocked into the play. I just don't see the rhyme or reason of that call any which way. And a very, very disappointing call. This game could have been a 2-score game, Denny. This game could have been a 2-score game. We scored there. This is probably a 2-score game. So, and I thought that was a penalty when you take your helmet off on the field.
It is.
Anyways, key number 1, winner of the rushing game the last 23 years. I guess I'm on that point pretty hard, huh, Denny?
Well, you were on it before the game, and you were right.
8 yards. We're in the 4th quarter now, folks. 172 to 107 to 77. That's a whooping. That's a whooping. Boom. They're just chowing them. What a play. This is all determination and effort. In the end, this is all determination and effort. Link does a good job keeping his feet going pretty good. He loses them inside, which that's not that bad because that's what's going to happen if you lose them inside. That's what's going to happen. He's out of position. He's got to reach with one hand to try to get Mullins down, and that ain't going to happen. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Mullins was a warrior all year long and had a great game against Ohio. Choke City, baby. You can't call 2 timeouts before play, before the next play. That was Choke City right there. He blew it. I think that's the face you make when you lose to Ohio or to Michigan 4 times in a row. And then Zavada, Groza Award winner, in my opinion.
Mine too.
And then the game. All game. Hey, there we are, Denny. Rushing 4, getting home, putting pressure on them, making them uncomfortable. That's why they lost. That's why they lost.
Well, that film was a lot of fun to watch, Jerry.
It sure was. It was a lot of fun doing, Denny.
Oh, man. I'd like to give some people some good news on a tight end that's announcing right now. And Andrew Olish. He's sitting at a table. He's committed to Michigan, but the expectation is that he is not going to be coming to Michigan. And, well, Day is saying Penn State. Penn State. That's where his dad went to school. So that's all right. You know, like you said, Jerry, maybe get him in a year or two.
You know, you never know what's going to happen in college football anymore, Denny. It's wide open. It's the Wild West, and you better have bucks.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get all of them.
You're not going to get them all.
Nope, you got a gigantic bag. Jerry, great job. Totally enjoyed it. Good job picking Michigan last week, and we look forward to having you on again. It's just the Michigan news that never stops. You know, if a offensive coordinator, transfer portal, everything else. Enjoy the football tomorrow, and we'll talk with you next week.
Dan, just want to give a couple more shout-outs. What about those Lions? We're going to be hosting the NFC Championship game in Detroit, Denny. How many teams are going to want to come to Detroit and face that crowd?
Well, at this point, there'll be a lot of teams that would want to because it would mean they would be in the NFC Championship game. But
it would be the NFC, yep, absolutely. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be nasty in Detroit when they host that NFC Championship game.
It will be a.
I know we've got to win a couple more, but I'm thinking we're looking pretty good. And then the biggest one, the second best beside the Michigan win over Ohio. Michigan goes into Wisconsin and beats the Badgers in hoops. Our basketball team is looking pretty doggone good, Denny. Dusty's doing a job.
They play tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So there it is. Dave, giving you a shout out, Jerry.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, brother. Hail to the victors.
There is Jerry Diorio